When she comes back after leaving you, your first instinct might be to react. You might feel a rush of excitement, confusion, even hope. That part of you that still remembers the good times wants to jump back in just like that. But here's the truth. Reacting emotionally is the fastest way to give your power away. You don't owe anyone a response right away, especially not someone who walked away from you. The fact that she's come back doesn't mean you're supposed to open the door immediately. It means you have a choice, and that choice begins with stillness. You pause, you breathe, and you think. This is where most men go wrong. They let the emotional wave crash over them, and they mistake that energy for clarity. But feelings aren't facts. That voice in your head saying, maybe this time it'll be different. That's not wisdom, that's longing, and longing has a habit of rewriting history to suit your hope. You start remembering the warmth, the laughter, the connection, but you conveniently forget the silence, the disrespect, the emptiness, the moment she decided to walk. You have to ask yourself, why did she leave in the first place? And have those reasons truly changed, or have you just numbed them because you're so relieved she's back? In that pause, you do something essential. You begin to reclaim your perspective. That's something you lost during the breakup. The moment someone leaves you, your internal narrative starts to break apart. You doubt yourself. You wonder what you could have done differently. But now that time has passed, you've likely started to rebuild. You've grown. Maybe you've worked on your mindset, your health, your focus. You've proven to yourself that you can stand on your own 2 feet. Don't let one unexpected return cause you to abandon all that progress just because the past comes knocking. You see, when she left, she made a decision. Whether it was impulsive or well thought out, whether she meant to hurt you or not, she exercised her freedom to walk away. That matters, and now she's back. But that doesn't automatically erase what happened. Forgiveness doesn't mean blindness. Strength doesn't mean softness. You need to assess calmly and clearly if this return aligns with your values or if it's just an emotional loophole being offered to you out of convenience. This is not the moment to fall into fantasy. This is the moment to anchor yourself in truth, the truth about who you are now, the truth about what you're willing to tolerate, and the truth about what it would actually look like to let this person back into your life. Does it bring peace or does it bring chaos? Does it make you more of yourself or does it ask you to shrink again? You have to be brutally honest with yourself here, because no one else can do this part for you. So pause, not for her, for you, not to play games or prove a point, but to make sure your response is rooted in reality, not in reaction. That pause is your power, that silence is your strength, because from that stillness, your next move will come from clarity, not desperation. And that's where everything changes. Now, once you've paused and let the emotional storm settle, the next thing you've got to confront is your own sense of self-respect, because this isn't just about her coming back. This is about you deciding what kind of man you are now, and whether that man is someone who's willing to abandon his dignity for the comfort of familiarity. You need to look in the mirror and ask yourself a hard question. Asterisk, am I thinking about taking her back because it aligns with my values? Or am I just afraid of being alone again? Asterisk, that's not a question most people want to ask, let alone answer. But it's essential, because when someone walks away from you and then returns, there's a shift in the dynamic. Whether you realize it or not, she tested the waters of a life without you, and for whatever reason, she decided to come back. Maybe she missed you. Maybe things didn't work out somewhere else. Maybe she just got lonely. The reason is less important than the impact it has on you. Because if you don't have a solid sense of self, you'll start interpreting her return as proof that you're finally good enough. And that's dangerous. That's when your need for validation starts running the show. That's when you stop leading your own life. You see, self-respect isn't about ego. It's about alignment. It's about standing in your values even when it costs you something. Especially then, if you compromised yourself during the relationship, if you tolerated things you knew deep down weren't right, then her coming back is your opportunity not just to get her back, but to get asterisk yourself asterisk back. That's the test. Not whether you can win her affection again, but whether you can honor the man you've become in her absence. When you place your self-respect at the center of this decision, everything becomes clearer. You stop asking questions like, does she still love me? And you start asking, do I still respect me if I say yes to this? That shift in focus is everything, because love, real love, can't survive where there's no respect. Not hers for you, and certainly not yours for yourself. If you let her back in without boundaries, without standards, without clarity, then you're not reuniting. You're surrendering. There's also something else to consider. What message are you sending to your future self? If you say yes now, what precedent are you setting for how you're going to treat yourself going forward? Will you always bend when someone pulls away? Will you always equate a second chance with self-worth? You've got to be very careful here, because how you handle this moment ripples outward. It defines not just this relationship, but your internal narrative about your own value. And if you undermine yourself here, it gets harder to rebuild that narrative later. You're not the same man she left, or at least you shouldn't be. You've been through something. You've been forced to confront your pain, your habits, your weaknesses. If you've done that work, and I mean really done it, then taking her back is not a reward. It's not the happy ending. It's just one possible next step, and it only makes sense if it serves the life you're building now, not the one you were clinging to before. So, when she comes back and your heart starts racing and the memories flood in, I want you to slow everything down and ask yourself, do I still respect myself if I let her back in? Because if the answer is no, then you already have your answer. So now you've paused, you've grounded yourself, you've taken that hard look in the mirror and asked whether your self-respect can actually survive this reconnection. But that's not enough. There's something else, something critical, you have to confront next. And that's the reason she left in the first place. It's easy to gloss over that part. When someone you cared about disappears from your life and then reappears, your mind wants to fast forward to the reconciliation. It wants resolution. It wants relief. It says, she's back. That's what matters. But if you don't stop and examine what actually drove her away, then you're not moving forward. You're repeating a cycle. And that cycle will spin you both right back into the same pain that fractured things before. You see, relationships don't just fall apart by accident. Something happened, or maybe something didn't happen. Either way, there was a breakdown of trust, communication, respect, desire, something. Maybe you weren't present. Maybe she pulled away and you ignored it. Maybe you both drifted and hoped it would just fix itself. Whatever it was, it mattered enough to end things. So the question now becomes, has anything really changed since then? Because if the reasons for the breakup haven't been acknowledged, if they haven't been understood or addressed, then it doesn't matter how intense the reconnection feels right now. That fire is temporary. Emotions can ignite quickly, especially after time apart. Nostalgia can make dysfunction look romantic, but when the adrenaline fades and the dust settles, the same core issues will still be there waiting. And if you didn't face them before, they'll be even stronger this time. You have to be brutally honest here, not just with her, with yourself. Did you show up the way you needed to? Were you communicating clearly, setting boundaries, being intentional? And what about her? Did she give you the same effort and respect you gave her? Did she sabotage something healthy, or did she escape something toxic? You have to go back, not to relive the pain, but to understand it. Because understanding it is the only way you avoid stepping into it again. This isn't about blame. It's not about punishing her for the past. It's about clarity, because without clarity, you're going to mistake intensity for connection. You're going to confuse comfort with compatibility, and you'll tell yourself a story that feels good in the short term, but costs you deeply in the long run. Sometimes people leave because they're running from their own problems. Sometimes they leave because they feel unseen, unheard, or unappreciated. Sometimes they leave because they don't even know what they want. The point is, you have to know what that reason was, and you have to know whether it's still there. If she left because you were distracted or neglectful or angry, and you haven't done the work to heal those patterns, then nothing's really different. And if she left because she couldn't handle commitment or ran at the first sign of discomfort and she's shown no growth, then what are you building this time? Another countdown to collapse. You don't move forward by ignoring the past. You move forward by confronting it with open eyes and a steady heart. You look at what went wrong. You look at the cracks, and you decide, together or apart, whether those cracks can be filled with something real, or whether they're just signs that this structure wasn't built to last. So by now, you've stepped back, you've held the mirror up, and you've examined the fault lines that caused the collapse in the first place. But there's something else, something subtle, something most people never bother to look at, and it's this. What are her intentions now that she's back? Not what she's saying, not how she's texting you late at night, not the sudden flood of emotion that feels like a miracle. I mean, what is she actually showing you? Because when someone returns, especially after walking away, their words are cheap. Not always dishonest, but often incomplete. We want to believe them, of course we do. I miss you. I made a mistake. I've changed. These are powerful things to hear. They spark something inside you. They open a door you thought had been slammed shut. But the problem is, words can create a beautiful illusion. They can cover up a lack of real change with sentiment and nostalgia. So your job now is to stop listening so much and start watching more carefully. Her intentions aren't in her messages. They are in her patterns. They are in her behavior. Is she reaching out to connect or just to soothe herself? Is she rebuilding something with care? Or is she dragging you back into an old emotional loop because she's lonely, confused, or in crisis? That's what you have to assess, and you can't do that by romanticizing her return. You do it by watching the choices she makes when no one's applauding her. How consistent is she? How honest? How responsible is she for the past? Does she take ownership, or does she redirect blame? Does she approach you with humility or with entitlement? And here's something hard but necessary. Sometimes people come back because they realize what they lost. And sometimes they come back because what they thought they wanted didn't work out. There's a difference between realizing your value and simply finding out that someone else didn't offer what you did. One is based on genuine insight. The other is just desperation dressed up as reconciliation. If she's only back because life outside the relationship didn't go how she expected, then you're not her first choice. You're her fallback. And that isn't love, that's convenience. You need to be able to spot the difference. This is where many men fall into a trap. They assume that the return means regret, that it means a deeper appreciation, that it means she's come full circle. Maybe she has, maybe she hasn't, but that's not for you to assume. It's for you to observe. Over time, not in one tearful conversation, but in consistent, grounded action. Because when someone truly values you, you don't have to chase clarity. It reveals itself in the way they show up over and over, even when it's uncomfortable. It's not cynicism to be cautious, it's maturity. Because love isn't just about how someone feels about you. It's about how they treat you when the emotion wears off. Do they show up with the same honesty and care when it's inconvenient, when it's difficult, when it demands growth? Or do they vanish again when things get hard? That's where the truth lives, not in promises but in pressure. So the question becomes, are you watching her behavior through the lens of your longing or through the lens of your standards? Because if you're leading with longing, you'll see what you want to see. But if you're leading with standards, you'll see what's really there. And that difference, that's everything. Because how you interpret her intentions now will shape whether this is a new beginning or just another repeat of the same old ending. At this point, if you've done the hard work, if you've taken the pause, looked yourself in the eye, examined the past, and started to assess her intentions honestly, then something begins to shift inside you. And this is where you need to realize something crucial. The dynamic has changed. You are not the same man she walked away from. You've gone through something difficult. You've carried yourself through pain, through doubt, through emptiness, and you're still here. And that means you're not just standing. You're standing taller. You're not who you were. You've grown. You've rebuilt. Maybe slowly, maybe painfully, but piece by piece you've become someone stronger, more self-aware, more grounded. And that version of you, that man does not chase, he chooses. That's the real turning point. Not that she came back, not that the door opened again. The real shift is that now you are the prize. And you have to carry yourself that way, not arrogantly, not with resentment, but with quiet, steady self-respect. It means you no longer see her return as some sort of validation. You don't need her to come back in order to feel worthy, because your worth isn't hanging in her hands anymore. You already proved your value to the one person whose opinion matters most, yourself. You see, the problem with many relationships is that we give up our own authority in them. We bend, we compromise, we chase, thinking that love means sacrifice without limit. But sacrifice without standards becomes self-erasure, and if you've done that once, you know how hollow it leaves you. So now you hold yourself to a higher standard. You don't go backward just because something familiar feels warm for a moment. You don't say yes to someone just because they've decided you're good enough now. She left for whatever reason. She walked away from what you offered. That decision has weight. It has consequences. So if she wants back in, it's not a reset. It's a process, a proving ground. She needs to meet you where you are now, not where you used to be. And that means you don't lower your standards just because you miss her. You don't shrink to make her comfortable. You don't silence your intuition for the sake of the moment. If she truly wants to be with you now, then she's got to show up differently. And she has to earn that place again. Not because you're trying to punish her, but because your life isn't a revolving door. It's not a shelter for people who only realize your worth when other options fall apart. And let me be clear, this isn't about bitterness, it's not about revenge, it's about protecting the man you've become. If you've taken your pain and turned it into purpose, if you've used that space to level up, then it's your responsibility to guard that growth. Because what you've built, your confidence, your peace, your clarity, that's sacred. You don't trade that away just because someone remembers what they lost. You don't give up your strength for a story that hasn't proven it's different this time. So when she looks at you now, she's not looking at the man who waited. She's not looking at the man who begged. She's looking at the man who rebuilt, and that man doesn't hand himself over lightly. He chooses. He evaluates, he stands still while others move, and if she's serious, if she's truly ready to come back into your life, then she'll understand that. And if she doesn't, then she was never coming back for you. She was coming back for comfort. If you've made it this far, if you've paused, reflected, examined, observed, and stood firm, then you're facing the final and most defining question. Do you let her back into your life, or do you walk away for good? And there's no universal answer. There's no clean formula. This isn't a decision anyone else can make for you. But what I can tell you is this: whatever you choose, you have to choose it consciously. Not emotionally, not impulsively, not from fear. You have to choose it with full awareness of what it means and what it will cost. There's a weight to a decision like this because it carries forward. If you take her back, you are not going back to where things left off. You are entering something new, and it has to be built on new rules, new boundaries, new honesty. You don't get to pretend the past didn't happen. You don't erase the pain just because the connection feels strong again. It's not about rekindling what was lost. It's about deciding whether something real can grow out of the ashes of what already burned. That means having hard conversations. That means setting expectations and seeing whether she meets them with consistency and humility. It means being honest about what you want and not shrinking to preserve harmony. If she truly wants to rebuild, she won't resist those conversations. She'll welcome them, because real reconciliation doesn't happen through feelings. It happens through action, through proof, through mutual responsibility. But maybe, after everything, you come to see that this return isn't aligned with the man you've become. Maybe you realize that as much as part of you still cares, the path forward doesn't include her anymore. And if that's the case, then you have to let go, fully, cleanly, with clarity, and without bitterness. You don't have to hate someone to walk away from them. You just have to love yourself enough to not stay somewhere that no longer fits. Letting go doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean the love wasn't real. It means you're choosing growth over comfort. It means you're not confusing familiarity with alignment. Sometimes closure doesn't come with a perfect ending. Sometimes it comes in the quiet moment when you realize that your peace matters more than reopening old wounds. Whatever decision you make, you have to own it. You have to carry it with integrity. If you let her back in, then don't punish her for the past. Either forgive or don't, but don't live in between. And if you walk away, then don't keep the door cracked just in case you get lonely. You're not doing yourself any favors by living halfway in and halfway out. That kind of indecision will drain you far more than the pain of a clean break ever could. So take your time, listen to your instincts, not the panic, not the ache, not the longing, but the deep, quiet knowing that lives underneath all of that. That's where the truth is. That's where your compass is. Don't betray it. Don't override it just because it's uncomfortable. Growth never feels comfortable, but it always leads somewhere stronger.